Hi, morning, my name's Andy Freeman and this is Shhh, 15 minutes of meditation for you to use at different parts of the day, just to stop for a while, to take some space to breathe. And this week our theme is spring. Last week was the first day of spring officially. You may have missed it with everything else that's going on. But I love the metaphor of spring, that it always comes, that there's a sense that the ground, the earth, is going to burst forth with life after a hard winter. Kind of feels appropriate right now. So we're going to dig into that a little bit and reflect a little while. So just make yourself comfortable. We're going to begin just by settling. So find yourself in your chair. Settle your emotions. Just imagine a calm sea, when there's just that tiny ripple, maybe some sunshine, and you're sitting on the beach and just looking. Just imagine that calm sense of space. Nothing's disturbing you. There's that just eternal rhythm of wash in and out. Maybe think of your favourite beach or sea. Just that quiet wash. Just that quiet wash. Just that quiet wash. We're just going to take some time just to reflect on that. Just that quiet wash of the sea. Settle ourselves. For these 15 minutes, nothing can hurt you, harm you, you're safe. And you can give yourself some time to settle, to rest, to find space. Smell the salt in the air, the gentle wash of the sea. Hear it if you can, imagine it. I'm sitting on some stones at the beach at Littlestone near New Romney in Kent. There's no one there apart from maybe a couple of dog walkers and me. And the sea is just gently lapping, and I'm at peace. And the sun is rippling on the waves. And I'm finding calm, and as I'm finding calm, I can find perspective for everything I face. Then when you're ready, just begin to come back to your room. Feel your back on your chair. Squeeze out any tension you feel. Settle yourself, become present for this short time. And we're going to think a little bit about the spring. Brought this fella in from the garden. I love the colours of spring, how they speak hope to me. There are yellows and oranges and reds, and they're vibrant and they're beautiful. You can think of those forests where they plant bluebells or snowdrops on the ground, and you walk through and there's just a sea of them. And it's deliberately overwhelming. It's like hope, and it's popping up everywhere. Pablo Neruda says you can cut all the flowers, but you can't keep spring from coming. It's this beautiful cycle where we go through a winter and we know something else is coming. There's a Japanese haiku that goes like this: dead my old fine hopes and dry my dreaming, but still iris blue each spring. Dead my fine old hopes and dry my dreaming, but still iris blue each spring. I like that inevitability. And what can happen at times when we're challenged is we can forget that sense of a coming hope. We are placed in our environment and protecting ourselves, and quite rightly so. We want to safeguard us and the people that are important to us. And what happens sometimes is that we can do this. We can build boundaries to protect us. Maslow wrote about his hierarchy of needs, and safety is right there at the beginning. Making ourselves safe, so we boundary ourselves to protect. And that's totally understandable. It's totally human. It's totally normal. But what hope does is it pops up with little flowers. It gets in behind our boundaries. It pops up all over the place if we let it. Hope is something that's infectious. And like the spring, it just starts popping its little head out. A shoot. A piece of life. Way probably before it's ready. Normally all the spring flowers begin to pop out when you're still worried it's going to snow. And they just stick their heads out and they say, oh, spring is coming. And then everything gets a bit more active. And you see your first bee, or you notice the birds are chirpier. And the evenings get a little bit lighter. And things slowly begin to change. They don't happen overnight, and not every spring bulb grows, and not every spring plant crop produces anything. Not everything comes through, and it doesn't change the landscape per se. I will still see the same things roughly out of my window that I've seen in winter, but it's with these little dashes of colour everywhere. And behind my boundaries, all of a sudden, there are flowers. There is hope, and I'm encouraged to begin to do this. To begin to be relational, to begin to connect with others, to begin to let others into my life, to begin to share, because I can see a reason to do it. I can see a reason to hope. And that's the metaphor of spring, that it's coming, that it will come. And as we are in that season now, I just want to encourage you to let a little bit of hope come through. So we're going to do two things. I'm going to read you a poem called Spring, and then I'm just going to lead a little reflection just about those little flowers popping up all over our life, and see where we get to. So I'm going to read a poem called Spring, and it goes like this. First spring shoots pierce hard granite ground. It's lighter, at least not so dark. It's warmer, at least not so cold. We're at a season change. There were times this year we've worn winter's cold glove. It's been dark. Dark nights and sunless days, we've sought out our gods and not found them. Lost in the cold and snow, lost in winter's grip. But today we feel the sun. Today the ice is melting, and in its place life begins. Little, simple life, briefly hidden, fragile life, but life nonetheless. It's beginning. Spring ushers in your new hope. Spring comes on the Damascus Road. Spring comes in the townships and purveyors. Spring comes in bars and brothels. Spring comes on park benches. We thought our hearts were dying, victims of trumping winter's crisp, but thawed thoughts lingered. Winter always carried the hope of spring, and now that seedling awakes, and hope is reborn in our spring. The season always changes. So I'd like to invite you to do a little meditation with me. And to do this, you're just going to need to be comfortable, and if it's okay, to close your eyes or to find something in the room that you're in to focus on. Anything will do, but just something that will take your focus. And I'd like you to think of your life as a garden, as a landscape. Imagine its boundaries and borders. Be as creative as you like. Maybe it's surrounded by a hedge. Maybe there are lawns, or maybe there's comfortable seats, water. And in your garden, it's the first day of spring. And thinking about your life and thinking about what you are committed to, what's valuable to you, what's important. Think about where the little flowers are appearing. Think about where, just dotted across your landscape, are bursts of colour and hope, and enjoy them as you would a gardener seeing the fruits of her labour, seeing flowers come from planted bulbs, seeing colour come to life in the garden that she's worked so hard on. Find hope in your garden, in that landscape of your imagination. Maybe there's a flower of hope for the future. Maybe something's turned a corner this week. Maybe there's a flower of hope for health, for family, for friends. Maybe there's a flower of hope that we're finding new normals and we're okay. And in your landscape there may well be plants that are struggling, dying. And as we thought about last time with light and dark, that's all part of the picture. It's not to be denied, it's not to be forgotten about or suppressed. But in amongst those things, I hope you find little flowers of hope. And look around at that landscape and reflect on it. And where you see hope, what you do is you tend it and you care for it and you allow it to grow. So how might you kindle that hope today, the hope of spring? Just going to take a few minutes and again just reflect on what you see. in your imagination, and then I'll draw you back together. There was a 16th century Catholic mystic called Ignatius who created a huge kind of library of exercises and ideas to help you think about vocation. What's the purpose of my life? And he always thought that emotion was the most powerful indicator to understanding what made you tick. What do you feel emotion about? The strongest emotions were always the most telling. So with that exercise, anything that really grabbed your emotions, go with it today. Explore it some more. Think about it some more. Allow yourself to be shaped by it a little bit today. And find hope. You can cut all the flowers, but you cannot keep spring from coming, said Neruda. I hope you enjoy a lovely spring day today. I'm thinking of you all. Take care, look after yourselves, and we'll be back again next Wednesday for another Shhh. Take care, bye-bye.